Hey everyone, RogueGold here, and today I want to have what should be a lively conversation. I'll just remind everybody off the top that I make these for the purposes of sparking discussion. I'll share my thoughts, then I hope to hear all of yours. I say this because, as the title suggests, today's topic is quite controversial in the community. So that's why I figured it would be interesting to dive into. We're going to be going over the expertise system in the Division 2, discussing its purpose, implementation, and the impact on the game in our current day. So yeah, there's going to be a wide range of thoughts here. Like I said, I can't wait to hear all of yours down below. Just remember that my opinion isn't the only truth, nor is yours. It's a collective viewpoint we can all contribute to, so keep things civil and let's break this all down. And if you enjoy discussion around everything Division like in this video, then hit that subscribe button, there's much more to come. But let's get into it. So, the expertise system. For anyone unaware, this system got added to the game last year in the 2U15 Season 9 update, and it serves as an endgame only high-level progression system to take your build's power that one extra step further. And because it is so integrated into the current day endgame design, that sparked a lot of debate, and that's why I wanted to discuss it now. The very basic gist is that virtually every item related to your build, weapons, gear, skills, etc., you can earn proficiency ranks on each item either through gameplay or donation. And by maxing out more and more items, you're then going to be able to go in and upgrade the ones that are maxed out and apply related bonuses like extra damage, armor, and more. Now, in theory, the system is a good idea. It gives players a longer term goal to strive for, and it lets you invest into your favorite items and builds. I think currently though, there's two primary pain points for the expertise system. Firstly is the cost. It is very expensive to take an item from expertise 0 to now level 24. And we're not just talking expensive, but very expensive, mostly coming in the form of high exotic component costs, which is a quite rare and valuable material. The other issue for people is the system's effect on PvP. Whereas PvE difficulty hasn't been adjusted since this system release, so earning ranks for PvE gameplay is mostly extra bonuses. Obviously, if you're dealing more damage in PvP, that is a straight up advantage. So where it's hurt the most is in new players wanting to get into PvP or at least try it out. They pretty much can't, at least not without running into many scenarios where they're lacking upwards of 30% damage against someone purely from the expertise and SHD watch systems alone. So those are some of the common complaints, and before I go on to give some of my thoughts on this, I think it's important for us to back up and talk about the why this system exists. Now the obvious answer is yes, to drive further player retention and give people something to chase in the long term. However, the background and reasoning for that I also find to be important. As I mentioned before, the expertise system was added in Season 9, also known as the game's return to content after a 15 or so month content drought. Now the last update to come out prior to that, Season 4, was originally developed to be the Division 2's final update, before that decision was ultimately reverted, and so because of that, the devs included with that update the optimization feature, which allowed players to spend materials to fully maximize stats on any gear. That system and feature is what the devs themselves have referred to as an end-of-life feature, meaning it's only something you introduce when the game is at the end of its life, since it's completely bypassing the game's entire driver, chasing better loot. This is why the system first got added back in the Division 1 when its final major content update of 1.8 released. So when the decision was made to actually make further content after Season 4, the devs were like, well, shoot, we already added optimization, so how do we create the chase and meaning behind long-term progression yet again? Now I have to say, despite the issues expertise has, at a conceptual level, it is actually a pretty smart system. It reincorporates all old endgame gear and brings in the new stuff to give a purpose to reuse and regrind everything. Players can spend a lot of time fully maximizing all of their builds because doing so on every piece for every build takes a long time. And probably the smartest aspect is that no one can ever really finish their expertise, because even if you hit the cap continually raises, since each new injection of loot per season adds to this system. So like I said, expertise clearly has its issues, don't misunderstand me, but as far as the devs having to find a way out of the corner they were backed into, expertise was a pretty clever way of doing so. There's one longer term problem with the expertise system, however, that I also wanted to address. We kind of touched on it a minute ago, but given the infinite nature of it, where unless changes were to be made, the expertise cap will continue to rise, it's not impossible that we could see expertise level 30 someday. And PvP issues aside, we know they've been investigating removing that system from PvP for a long time, so we'll see if any changes are made there. But simply in PvE, there gets to be a point where the level of power that we're able to achieve outclasses the difficulty structure the game has in place. So while the nature and mechanics of expertise work great for keeping players motivated and having something to work towards, if it inherently means that the gameplay is becoming less and less compelling because of it over time, that's also an issue that the devs are then going to need to address down the line. As far as expertise in The Division 2, I don't see it going anywhere. You know, some people have said they believe we're going to get a level increase in the game's upcoming 2024 DLC. I personally don't think so, but even if they were to, Massive would then have to come up with some sort of way for us to infuse or raise up our old gear to this new level cap. Because if they were going to have expertise in the game allow people to invest so much time and resources into it, and then just take it away or try and retire the old items that were a part of it, there would be literal riots, no doubt. So expertise is here to stay. What I did want to offer was my perspective on how I think expertise could be evolved to become a much more favored system in the community, and one that would ultimately be extremely more balanced. Because at the end of the day, having any kind of system that grants endless power is eventually going to become problematic. So whether it's in The Division 3, The Division Resurgence, I don't know, any iteration moving forward, here's my 2 cents. Let's take the framework of what expertise is, and instead of it being tied to power and build progression, let's rework it into a system that allows players to visually, and potentially in other ways, showcase their dedication and favoritism towards different items in the game. Removing the donation aspect of expertise, let's say the only way to gain proficiency on an item was to use it, right? This new version of the system is intended to really focus around items you care about and use a lot, so it should revolve around the gameplay. And by using a particular item, maybe there's specific challenges you can complete with it, or just XP to gain across levels or a track, and by progressing a specific weapon, gear item, exotic, you can unlock new and super unique customization options. Exclusive skins to this system, charms you could hang off of your weapons or gear, new VFX, maybe you can make it glow in certain places, you could unlock tracer rounds, unique kill effects. I think that while Massive's mind was in the correct place to make expertise something that people would have the motivation to chase for a long time, it is also very underestimated just how many players care about customization and visualizing their accomplishments. Case in point, those original masks back during the Division 1's global events. Players went nuts trying to get those things. And I remember my own several-hour attempt at a Falcon Lost flawless run to finally get that stupid clown mask. Imagine if each item had its own unique ways to gain proficiency with it, and as a reward, you get to show off your dedication and attraction to that specific item. I really do feel like players would respond very well to that, both because, like I said, customization is rad, and I think people would appreciate the system not being tied to power. Even if purely visual rewards is less enticing to some, I think you'd easily make up for it with players who would just be appreciative of not feeling forced to engage with the system just to be competitive. So there you have it, guys. Those are some of my thoughts on the expertise system in The Division 2, why it exists in the first place, what issues players have with it, and where I would personally take the system in the future. I hope you learned something, or that the topic sparked some of its own ideas or thoughts to share on your own. If it did, certainly leave them down below. Like I said, I know this is a divisive topic, so let's keep things civil, but let me know your thoughts on this whole deal now that we're at the end of 2023. This thing's been out for a year and a half, which is pretty wild when you think about it, but yeah, let me know. That is going to do it for me today, everybody. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. RogueGold. Ow.